Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you with the most up-to-date political, economic, and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. Okay, happy Sunday everybody. I hope you're having a good weekend. This is an extra special episode to make sure we're on top of the major developments for this week before we move into next week's episodes. This week, the US, China, and 26 other countries agreed to work together to ensure artificial intelligence is used in a, quote, human-centric, trustworthy, and responsible, end quote, way in the first global commitment of its kind. Called the Bletchley Declaration, the communique signed by major powers at the inaugural AI Safety Summit recognizes that AI has, quote, potential for serious, even catastrophic harm, end quote, and is, quote, best addressed through international cooperation, end quote. The AI Safety Summit was a 2-day event hosted by British Prime Minister Sunak in the UK. The PRC sent Wu Zhaohui, a Vice Minister of Science and Technology, and several PRC AI researchers to co-sign the statement. State-run Xinhua wrote that Wu led the delegation to the summit and delivered a speech at the opening ceremony. State-run Global Times added, as a member of the developing world, China is willing to strengthen exchanges and communication with all parties participating in the meeting on AI safety issues, quote, which reflect the common concerns of the global south and emerging technologies, and pool wisdom to promote the formation of an international mechanism with universal participation and governance framework with broad consensus, end quote. We remember that Beijing recently published its so-called Global AI Governance Initiative, which stated opposition to, quote, drawing ideological lines or forming exclusive groups to obstruct other countries from developing AI, as well as to oppose creating barriers and disrupting the global AI supply chain through technological monopolies and unilateral coercive measures, end quote. We can see in this language, of course, the concerns that China has that the US and her allies will continue to restrict advanced technology exports to China, potentially retarding Beijing's AI ambitions. As we just mentioned, several Chinese academics attended the summit. The group, which includes Andrew Yao, one of China's most prominent computer scientists, called for the creation of an international regulatory body, the mandatory registration and auditing of advanced AI systems, the inclusion of instant shutdown procedures, and for developers to spend 30% of their research budget on AI safety. At the summit, UK Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Dowden said that it was not appropriate for Chinese delegates to attend some sessions at the AI summit, expressing to media, quote, there are some sections where we have like-minded countries working together, so it might not be appropriate for China to join, but we and China share the same risks around AI. Nobody wants some of the most adverse consequences happening, so it's right that we work with China, end quote, reminding us that, of course, the coming AI revolution will quickly be sucked into the wider geopolitical competition between China and the US-led West. And this brings us nicely to the next topic to discuss today. It's the weekend, so we move now into ideology, and we once again examine the recently rolled out so-called Xi Jinping thought on culture. It's increasingly apparent that the party views this as the flagship of Xi Jinping thought systems, the foundation on which the others will be maintained. As such, it's critical that we follow the rollout of this ideology, watch the debate within the party regarding its substance, and examine how Beijing articulates it. This not only tells us a lot about the worldview which is being presented to China's domestic audience, but also how policy and behavior downstream will be affected. I know that some find this very dry, but it is very important for us to follow. Before we move into this, just quickly, if you're getting some value from today's episode, don't forget to hit the like button. Liking, sharing, and subscribing is a big help, and Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description too, for anyone who can go the extra mile and help keep the channel financially sustainable. As always, thank you so much everybody for the ongoing support. The latest issue of 九事, or Study Times, has a 9,000-character article by Qu Jingshan, director of the Party History and Literature Research Institute of the Party Central Committee, and a key theorist for Xi Jinping thought, titled Deeply Study and Understand Xi Jinping Thought on Culture. Commentators believe that this is the most authoritative exposition of the ideology system to date. Chu writes that deeply studying and understanding Xi Jinping's thought on culture is an essential political task for the entire party, especially as it relates to national propaganda, ideological, and cultural work. Quote, grasping the dominance of public opinion and widely considering social consensus under the conditions of informationalization, also translated as digitalization, is an essential requirement for strengthening mainstream ideological culture. Xi Jinping pointed out that today's world is witnessing a new comprehensive competition of national strength on all fronts. The struggle for dominance and control over cyberspace is intensifying, and the world's power map is being redrawn. The internet has become an important force influencing the world. In today's world, whoever controls the internet has the initiative of the times. Whoever underestimates the internet will be abandoned by the times. Xi Jinping emphasized the importance of clarifying what kind of civilization and country China is, explaining the Chinese worldview, global perspective, societal view, and moral view, showcasing the long history and cultural heritage of Chinese civilization and helping the world understand China, the Chinese people, the Communist Party of China, and the Chinese nation. He believes that storytelling is the best way for international communication. He urged the creation of various captivating and concise story carriers, embedding the Chinese path, theory, system, spirit, and strength within them, making them engaging and thought-provoking for listeners. We need to innovate the way we express our discourse to foreign audiences. End quote. Then there is this piece from Zhuang Rongwen, Vice Minister of Propaganda and head of the Cyberspace Administration of China, in the party mouthpiece The People's Daily, suggesting that internet controls are only going to get tighter. Quote, this important thought deeply contemplates and plans for the spiritual soul of a strong nation's construction and the rejuvenation of the nation. General Secretary Xi Jinping, standing at the forefront of the era and technology, accurately grasps the major trend of deepening digitalization, networking, and intelligent development. He has deeply contemplated and made incisive discussions on how to do propaganda, ideological and cultural work under new circumstances. He emphasized the need to strengthen positive online propaganda, accelerate the integration of media development, win the battle of online ideological struggle, establish a comprehensive internet governance system, and strengthen the construction of internet civilization. Focusing on the primary political task, we regard promoting Xi Jinping thought on culture as a top priority. End quote. And finally, there is this piece from Gao Xiang, President and Party Secretary of the Beijing-based mega think tank, the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, published this week once again in the state-run party mouthpiece, The People's Daily. Quote, Marxism has achieved the vitality of Chinese civilization, allowing the excellent traditional Chinese culture to burst forth with great spiritual power. Since the new era, our party has shown new trends and actions in promoting Marxism to take root in Chinese history and culture. We must deeply understand that China and Chinese are not only geographic designations, but also historical and cultural concepts. A nation without cultural confidence cannot stand firm, stay stable, or go far. Strengthening the comprehensive leadership of the party over the work of philosophy and social sciences is crucial. Strengthen the refutation of incorrect trends of thought and ensure the correct political direction, academic guidance, and value orientation. It's vital to base our efforts on the great historical and contemporary practices of the Chinese nation. Use Chinese reasoning to summarize Chinese experiences, elevate these experiences to Chinese theories, and achieve spiritual independence and autonomy. Telling the story of the modern civilization of the Chinese nation well is crucial. The modern civilization of the Chinese nation belongs not only to China, but also to the world, providing spiritual nourishment to the Chinese people and contributing intellectual wisdom to the people of the world. It's important to accelerate the construction of Chinese discourse and narrative systems, engage in equal dialogue and exchange with the international academic community, and clearly and loudly express our own Chinese academic voice. End quote. In a discussion on this piece from the president of China's elite Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, veteran China analyst Bill Bishop this week observed, quote, Unsurprisingly, it sounds like intellectual and academic de-Westernization is only going to intensify. End quote. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a good Sunday, and I will see you all tomorrow.